So, a question. I'm going to ask a question. It's a real question, and what I mean by that is it's not something that's meant to be smarmy or that I'm just asking rhetorically to prove a point. It's not a bad faith question. I really want to hear the answer because I want to have this conversation. I don't know the answer myself. So when I say I'm asking a question, I mean that in the most direct and literal sense of the phrase. It's a question. And that is, and I pose this primarily to those who are on the this is all a massive overreaction side of the debate. And it's this. How many deaths would be enough? What death toll would you need to see before you would agree that drastic economy damaging, possibly economy ruining measures should be taken? And whatever that number is, if you have a number, or and it'd be like I don't think you would have an exact precise number in mind, but whatever that ballpark estimate is, why that and not something else? Why do you draw the line there and not somewhere else? So again, this is a sincere question. I really want to hear your answer. And actually, the question is more complicated than that, because if you say that you would need the virus to kill, say, 1 million Americans in order to justify this kind of response. If your position is, look, I mean, this response is might send us into a Great Depression. This is something that this country has never done before, anything like this on this scale. To be doing something like this, it would have to be like something really cataclysmic and apocalyptic. Millions, 1 million, 2 million Americans dying. Okay, well, if that's your answer, presumably you wouldn't wait for those people to die before you respond. The response would be to prevent those deaths, not in reaction to them. So you would need not for it to kill that many, but for it to threaten to kill that many. But then the problem is that some models tell us that this virus would kill that many, if not more, if we didn't do anything and just treated it like the common flu. So how would you know? What would you need to see to know that this other virus, this hypothetical virus, really is threatening that many, considering you've decided, or you're theorizing that the one we're dealing with actually is not threatening that many? So what would you need to see? This, to me, fundamentally is the philosophical kind of dilemma at the heart of the whole debate surrounding the China virus and our reaction to it. I've already said that I'm going to leave the analysis of the thing itself, the disease itself, and predictions of what it might do or how it might spread. I'll leave that to the experts. But this question of where we should draw the line for an acceptable casualty count is not one that I think doctors alone should be trusted to answer. We don't want to get to the point where a question like dealing with the value of human life and death, these sorts of things, we don't want to say that, only experts can speak on that. That has very negative consequences when you have that kind of mentality. So this is a human problem. But I haven't really heard or seen anybody try to address it directly. There are many people who seem to be rather confident that we're taking measures that cannot be justified considering the number of people who are dying. It's not enough. It's not enough death to justify it. The death toll isn't high enough. I mean, this is the argument that lots of people are making. I haven't seen any of them say what they think, where they think the line should be drawn. So, we've all heard arguments like, well, the flu kills 60,000 people a year in this country. This has only killed 100. Actually, it's 115, 116 last I saw. Or people will say, yeah, the death toll in Italy was bad, but it was only 0.00 whatever percent of the total population. Or they'll say, hey, just putting this in perspective, not saying that the death toll isn't high for the China virus, but however many people died from this, here's how many more people will die from car accidents or something else every single day. All of these arguments are saying rather explicitly that the virus death toll is not high enough. It's not where it would need to be to make the reaction defensible. Maybe it isn't. So again, how high is high enough? Not a trick question, not a gotcha. It's a question that I think we absolutely have to be able to answer, because if you believe that X cannot justify Y, then you must have some idea, some at least general vague idea of what would justify Y. Because if you don't, if you have no idea, then you can't know that X doesn't justify it. So this just seems like a logical conclusion to me, and this is what I've been thinking about. Because many of the people claiming that this is an overreaction, they can make a compelling argument, especially when you think about how bad this could get economically, and all of the people that are going to lose their jobs and might not get them back. What does the economy look like a month from now, 2 months from now? How many people are out of work? I just read something saying, I wish I had it in front of me, I think it was something like 20% of Americans already either have lost their jobs or have had their hours cut. And it's only been a week. Now, I think that tells us something about our system, that a week of people staying home just collapses everything. That's what we were talking about yesterday, that I think that what we should be thinking about is a fundamental restructuring of the way we've set up society, so that we're so dependent on people being consumers that if they stop being consumers for a week, everything goes to hell. But that's the way it is now, right? And changing that's a long-term generational plan, which I hope that we will endeavor to do, but it's not something we can do overnight. So you point that out and you say, it's not justified, it's too much. Again, a compelling argument can be made for that, I admit. But if you're making that argument, I think you have to have some kind of response to the question I'm asking. Well, I hope you enjoyed that clip from the Matt Walsh Show. If you did, go ahead and hit that subscribe button right down there so you can stay up to date on all of our future content.